subscribe to by finding the link on those QR codes, so get into it. Her favorite movie is Center Stage, and her favorite book is actually the 10-minute version of All Too Well. So without further ado, give it up for Liz Fitzgerald.
Good thing to know about me just off the bat is that in college, I would go to acapella concerts alone. I would sit in the middle and the back and I'd close my eyes and listen to the music. I went to the University of Colorado, which is big, and there were like 9 acapella groups there. And they all had these punny names that either commented on our proximity to the Rocky Mountains or on our mascot, the buffalo. There were the Buffoons, there was On the Rocks, but my favorite college acapella groups carried the name of In the Buff. Yeah. In the Buff was an all-male ensemble I had first heard about when I was 16 and worked at a Cold Stone Creamery in a strip mall in suburban Denver. With a standalone Chili's to our east and a Mervyn's to our west, we stood proudly in the middle, teenagers mixing ice cream with candy bars and serving them to grown men. Nice guys, honestly. Our uniform was a black polo. At Cold Stone, my manager's name was Michael. He was 23. And at one point in his life, he had been a member of said a cappella group In the Buff. When we were closing up the creamery at night, we would listen to music on a small gray and blue boombox we kept in the back. It was always tuned to KS 107.5, which was, and I assume still is, Denver's premier destination for hip-hop on FM radio. And the moody, brilliant Sugar How You Get So High played about 5 times a shift, and frankly that was not enough times for me. So one day when we were closing, Michael and I started talking about music, and he told me about the In the Buff a cappella group, this collection of men from college, pulling together their brilliance to recreate sounds from the radio. I didn't know what a cappella was, and I was intrigued. And he noticed, and so on our next shift together, he brought in a CD of their recordings. There were maybe like 15 songs on the CD, and it was a real who's who of late 90s, early 2000s, alt rock, mid-tempo jams. And wow, I got very into that CD. It contained, this is like, did I mention what year this is? Like 2005, let's say. So prior to Pitch Perfect, I'm in the dark. You know? So I got super into that CD. It contained so many of my favorite songs that the people singing them were like 45 minutes away in Boulder, at a school I wanted to go to, at a place I'd maybe soon be. The performers were these, you know, they became these like celebrities within reach, and it all just made me very curious. I asked Michael if I could take the CD home and burn it and bring it back to him on our next closing shift, but he said no. Liz, take this one. I didn't say like no. No, he said yes. Take this CD, take it for keeps, so I did, and I took it home and I copied the songs onto my iTunes library, which at the time was filled to the brim with everything Dave Matthews Band has ever recorded, both in the studio and live. But I was able to shuffle some things around and made some room for the new files. Crunch the numbers, you know what I mean? I listened to the In the Buff CD on my computer and listened to the In the Buff CD in my car, and before I went to bed, I hummed the melodies from the In the Buff CD to help lull me to sleep. After about a week of this obsessive listening, I came into work, stained black polo be damned, and confronted Michael against the employee lockers, assaulting him with urgent questions. Hi, yes, Michael, I'm here, I'm clocked in. I'll ensure the waffle cones get spun, like whatever, in a moment, but before all of that, I have some In the Buff questions to ask you. How does the group select the songs exactly? How do you decide who gets the solos? Does one guy in particular always make the boom noises, or do you guys trade off or something? Oh, and another quick question before we get our evening rush. How are you guys not the most famous people on the planet? As you have created art so powerful and so great and so moving enough to stop time for a 16-year-old girl who isn't quite sure who she is, but is very sure that the answer to that question might just be on this CD. How did you create something that could make her feel so alive, to forget about her problems, her anger, her eating disorders? You didn't know the answer to all those questions, but you did tell me a shit ton about the dynamics of a cappella groups and music theory. Did I know that in music there was something called dissonance? No, Michael, I didn't. What's dissonance? I don't know what that is, and in fact, the world's a different place since listening to that CD, and I'm not sure what it is I do know to be true anymore. Can you tell me? Shift manager Michael, please tell me. I'm desperate for it, okay? I kill for it. Tell me what the fuck dissonance means. I need to know. I want to feel something while I assemble this red velvet ice cream cake and accidentally include in it one of my long raven hairs so someone can buy it and discover it and bring it back to me and get a refund after their child's birthday party was ruined by this teenage mistake. That happened. I was the only one with like my color hair at that length, and it was like, yeah. Dissonance is, look at me now. I overcame that. So he said dissonance is something that happens in a song to make the better parts of the song sound better. Dissonance does not sound pretty. Dissonance sounds bad. And there's its complement. You see something called consonance, and consonance sounds great. And when you find balance between the moments of consonance and dissonance in a song, the song can really fly because the sweet parts and the powerful parts, the beautiful parts, are then juxtaposed by the dark parts and the weird parts and the ugly parts. So you want to put something really bad next to something really good because then the really good part sounds even better than it would have without it. Okay, Michael, that was beautiful. I truly have not been that moved since I listened to The Freshman on my way to school this morning, originally sung by the Groupie, then of course masterfully covered by your acapella group in the bus. You know what, I take that back because I also listened to Closing Time Today after school, a song originally performed, butchered by Semisonic, those fools, but expertly covered by you and your dear friends of In the Buff, my favorite acapella groups. Now, it's important for you all to know that I wasn't attracted to Michael. We were platonic friends. Who I was after was all the men I pictured in my head, the members of In the Buff I had yet to meet. The ones whose voices whispered in my car's stereo speakers, the Jimmy World of it all. Are you listening? Whoa! Straps from your Whoa! They were in college, hot. They could sing, very hot. I could picture their soft curly hair. Okay, oh my god. You know what, Liz? I bet they look like the counselors at summer camp. You know the kind. The kind that carry those big blue Nalgene water bottles. The ones with those crisp white tops up and down the evergreen hills as you trail behind. Their muscles hard from climbing real Colorado rocks. The ones that create those small but defined little shapes of muscle under their long sleeve Dave Matthews Band tour t-shirts. I used to close my eyes and picture us together, holding hands and traveling to all those cities they listed on the back. When I get there, I thought, when I get to college, when I get to the University of Colorado, I will find this group. This group they call In the Buff, and maybe they'll be impressed by my fandom. And maybe I'll become like a mascot, you know? And after a few years of that, the leader, the captain, their musical chief of staff, the head of my favorite acapella group will notice how effortless I am. And wonder to himself why he never saw it before, it being me. It being how wonderful and beautiful and smart and funny I am, and he'll need to date me. And he'll need to sing to me nightly, and we'll drink together from his big blue Nalgene and secure it together with its crisp white top and a sort of sexual baptism for a Rocky Mountain girl. So the time finally came, when I was 18, a woman now, to act on my desires. By some miracle, a friend in my dorm at the University of Colorado made the group. A friend of mine was now in the Buff. I had an In the Buff in. They had a concert on Saturday night. It was my time. Now, because of how the nature of how one fills their social calendars when one lives in a dorm, several of my very new and very attractive female friends went with me that night. That's fine. I'm sure I'll stand out. I know all the lyrics and harmonies. And I especially know them to Here's to the Night, originally performed by Eve Six, magnificently covered without instruments by In the Buff. So we all went, we were giddy, and the lights went down. We were in the third or fourth row of Math 100, a lecture hall where I took, not to brag, international relations in. But tonight, Math 100 was transformed into something else. I sat there in the dark and was overwhelmed. The lights came up and the music started. 15, maybe 16 boys graced the classroom stage. Their chalkboard was their curtain, or the chalkboard was their curtain. I couldn't believe my eyes. But then I noticed something strange was going on, and I checked the program. They weren't. It's raining. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, vibes. Cozy. Okay, so I'm there. They're starting their songs. I can't believe it. I'm so excited. I looked at the program. Something strange is happening. They weren't singing any of the songs from the CD that Michael gave me. No, in fact, these were new songs and new arrangements. And oh my God, these were new fucking voices. Shit, Liz, wise up. People graduate from college, of course, and when they graduate, they are no longer part of In the Buff. Old parts are assigned to new members, and those people have new ideas for new songs, and those songs require new arrangements and new consonances and dissonances, and well, these people don't know me at all, do they? Strangers. Christ, that's okay. Keep your cool. Keep listening. Consonants, dissonance, whatever. Cool. A John Legend cover, very cool. No E6, no Everclear, no Third Eye Blind, that's okay. Jesus, was that Lady Gaga? Was that Katy Perry? Okay, keep your cool. The concert ended and I wasn't blown away. I mean, was it good? Yeah, of course. This is In the Buff we're talking about. But these weren't my boys. The ones from the CD, the ones from my bedroom, the ones I listened to in my car, the ones that filled the streets of suburban Denver with meaning. My sexual awakening. Too late in the piece to say that, yeah. But my sexual awakening was around 1998, and my idea of the perfect man was anyone who drove a Jeep Cherokee and had a thick CD case just absolutely spilling over with acoustic guitar music of the highest order. I wanted a guy with the personality of the real world Seattle. I wanted my memorization of dispatch songs and OAR songs and Oasis songs, singular, to be rewarded somehow. And suddenly, overnight, in the cold seats of Math 100, my plans were just thrown out the window. And then I heard a voice. Do you girls want to come to the after party? What? Did one of these guys just ask us if our very small but very prepared group of girls wanted to go to the In the Buff after Acapella after party? A flood of thoughts broke the dams of my mind. Acapella groups have parties? Acapella groups have after parties? Wait, does this mean that the concert was the original party? Holy shit, Liz, shut the fuck up, yes. Yes, we will go. Sure, these boys weren't the ones from my original CD that Michael gave me, but this is how it happens. This is how I get closer to realizing my dream of being an In the Buff girlfriend. This is amazing. It's all happening, Liz. It's all happening. So we went, and there was so much to drink, and there was so much singing, and so many of them were gay. But that's totally okay, because I just know it. I just know it. I just know it. Something's gonna happen tonight. And it did, just not for me. A friend of mine ended up hooking up with the soloist from the John Legend song, while I got drunk enough to leave the house and trip on a very small but very trippable step on my way out. My face hit the pebbled sidewalk, and my good friend Dylan helped me wobble home. And I was so like genuinely embarrassed, you guys. And when I first wrote the story and started performing it, I could feel the embarrassment and shame as I told it. Because in my mind, what I thought I had failed to do was realize or accomplish this very safe, attainable fantasy, and I wasn't even good enough to do that. That's what I convinced myself of. And in that moment, I felt truly very ugly and small. And while lying in bed with Dylan, a male friend of mine, again, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm 16. I'm he's my favorite kind of friend. But I just remember he's really tall and he's a bit lanky and super lovely. And but I was trying to sleep and his knees were in my mid back, and I was like, this was a sad night. You know what I mean? I knew it. I knew it in real time. But I was also telling myself in my head just this very mean story, and it went like this. I was like, wow, Liz, you were after normal tonight. You were after nice, and you couldn't even get that. I was after nice camp counselors and nice acapella singers and nice people, but I'm not even sure that that's what happened that night, but it's a story I chose to tell myself and other people about this teenage misstep. But what really happened is I think I just started to find something that made me feel less alone. I liked the sound. I liked thinking about the kinds of people who cared enough about whatever it was that they liked to actually like go out and do it, to pick out these songs, to be thoughtful, to cover them, to make CDs with their friends, you know, like, and I let myself imagine that those kinds of people, the kinds of people who were able to do that, were also maybe the kinds of people who were capable of giving out, you know, like a kind of love that I felt had eluded me at the time. The kind that isn't cruel and perverse and angry, the kind that's lovely and tender and warm and soft. And I think what I most had a crush on was a dream that allowed me to escape my present. But I wanted it so badly for it to not just be a dream. When you're 16, I mean, you know how it is, like, the music you listen to, like, in the car or alone, like, that's sacred. Like, no one understands you, you don't understand you. The only thing you maybe understand is how complex and beautiful and painful life has the potential to be, and when even, like, a fragment of your reality or that truth is reflected back to you in a song, like, that hits. Like, that's all there is. You feel held and special, and you start to develop this relationship with yourself that exists in private, and you realize that there's someone out there who's felt the same way that you have, and they didn't dismiss their feelings, they wrote them down. And those feelings turned into songs, and now those songs like live these long, beautiful lives as lullabies or wedding songs or acapella songs or car songs or playlist songs where you send it to a crush. And to me, that thought was really hopeful. So the next time I heard about an In the Buff concert, I went alone. I sat in the middle in the back and closed my eyes and listened to the music. I tried to enjoy something without it being a means to something else, and my judgment of it then or now of it being stupid or unimportant, it just robbed me of its joy completely. Its echoes were the point. Its ephemerality and my coexistence inside the moment was the point. The sound and my hearing it was the important part. The harmonies and the arrangements and the consonants and the dissonance. But I also kind of feel like there was no point at all. Just that I had found something I liked. Thank you so much.